Hi everyone, Kristina Werner here. Welcome to another video for SimAssistStamp.com. Today I'm going to be using the SLIMLINE Borders 6x9 stencil to create an ink blended shaker card. It's going to have a really fun shaker element, so I hope you'll stick around to see how that's put together. I'm using 5 different colors of SimAssistStamp ink, and to protect my work surface and to make the cleanup easier, I'm using the Tonic Easy Clean mat. I first taped down my white cardstock, and then I taped the stencil to the cardstock so it stays in place. The first color I'm using is Hot Mama, and I'm using a blender brush from Honeybee. So I'm using the diagonal stripe border for my design today, and I first ink blended the first color at the very bottom of my cardstock. By the way, this is some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 80-pound cardstock. I then cleaned off my stencil really well with just a baby wipe, or you could use like a wet cloth or something like that. I then turned over the stencil so that the diagonal stripes are going in the opposite direction. Placed that right over the top. Again, taped it down, covering up that other design that's right above, like the squares. I didn't want to use that border. And I knew I could probably be careful and not get any of the stars below, so I just masked off that one border. So next, that color I used was dull pink, and now I'm going to be using Hollyhock. So I cleaned off the stencil once again, turned it back over to that first side that I used on that purple row, taped everything down, and continued with Hollyhock. So once again, I'm blending with that blender brush, going all the way across until I have a complete border. So I then repeated this process with the last 2 colors. The next color is a very, very pale pink. It's called Twirling TUTU. And so I just turned that stencil over so it went the opposite direction and then continued on with that ink blending. The very last color I'm using is Duckling. It's a nice pale kind of banana yellow. And I blended that on with my blender brush. I had 3 different blender brushes. I had them designated for different colors: purples, pinks, and yellows. So then I went back over after I removed the stencil and just ink blended a little bit of each color over that border color. And this is going to help those colors kind of blend in with each other. And it also makes the design not quite so, what's the word I'm looking for? So bold. By taking away some of that white under, like in the background, it gives it a more tone-on-tone effect, but then also it still keeps it very colorful because the colors are blending with each other. Finishing off with Hot Mama on that very first border that I blended. So after I had my complete background blended, I was very happy with how it turned out. I moved on to creating the greetings for my card. I'm going to be using the Love Greetings Mix stamp set from Simon. I'm going to use 2 different stamps from the stamp set. The first one, which is the large heart, this is Happy Valentine's Day Love. And then the smaller greeting line that says, I think it says love you so very much. I think that's what it says. I'm stamping them in VersaFine Onyx Black ink and just down onto some more of that white cardstock. So this ink does dry fairly quickly, but I have noticed if I try to cut things out right away when it's a very bold image like this, sometimes it's not quite as dry as I think. So I set those aside for a moment while I cut down my background, just so that it was a little bit smaller than a standard size A2 card. I then trimmed down my greetings, and I'm going to kind of position them on the card so I can get an idea of what I want it, where I want things to be on the final card. And I'm coming up with a plan for my shaker area. So I'm going to have the large heart stamp kind of near the top center, and then I grabbed some circle dies. These are the nested circle dies from Simon, and I tested out a few different sizes trying to find the perfect size for this heart shape. So after I figured out which one I wanted, I turned that over, taped it to my background, and then I also got a piece of window plastic or acetate, and I used the circle die that was just slightly larger than the one that I used on the background. That clear plastic will be adhered to the back of that ink blended panel. It's going to create the window for the front of my shaker area. Used a bit of honeybee glue around the outer edge, and then press that acetate right down onto that circle window shape. So I'm going to start prepping the shaker area, and there's a specific order you want to do so that the backgrounds can match up. So here I am showing how the backgrounds are going to match up. It's just that circle that I cut out from before. So I'm going to create my card base. My card base is some more white cardstock, except this time it is the 110-pound version. I like to have a sturdier card base so that it stands up. So I just prepped that, and then I took some adhesive, put it on the back of that circle piece that is still sort of puzzle pieced inside, getting it positioned just right. And then I'm going to place it down onto my card front. That's going to make sure that that circle center area is in the perfect position when I actually put the rest of the card together. So I'll just peel up that ink blended frame, and I'm going to prep the foam tape now. I've got a long strip of foam tape. I folded it in half. So this is going to create 2 layers thick of this foam tape. That's going to allow all the sequins inside to shake around freely. Use my scissors to cut it down to be a smaller strip. And then I removed the backing paper on both sides so that I can manipulate this foam tape and get it in the right position. Put it around the circle on the card base. And then I took some sequins. This is actually the Spring Blooms mix from Pretty Pink Posh. I thought the colors matched my ink blended colors perfectly. Put that inside the shaker area. And then I've got the ink blended piece, you can see it up there at the top, that already has foam pieces in the corners. That's just going to make it so that this entire piece on the front stays level. Position that right over the top and then press that down. And now you sort of have like this seamless shaker area. It looks really cool because you've got that pattern going from edge to edge within the circle area. Put some foam tape on my heart, and I put that directly over that center area of the shaker. And then I took my smaller greeting and I cut down a bit of foam tape so that it was nice and thin to go behind the very thin and narrow greeting. And I placed that right below the heart. And that finishes the card for today. Just a reminder that all of the supplies that I've used today are available over at simonsystamp.com, and I hope you'll check those out. Thanks so much for watching today, and I will catch you guys in another video very soon.